Welcome back to Travel Show Live. We've moved inside to the Old Hickory Steakhouse, and that's where we find the cheese goddess. And we've been talking about this for the last, however many minutes, and thank goodness you're here. This is Carolyn Stromberg. Hello, Carolyn. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Everything's all right?
Everything's great.
All right,
very good.
I don't want anybody to have a cheese panic attack or anything. But in this particular instance, I thought we would talk about how are we going to be serving cheese over the holidays? Because I think we should move forward in our cheese knowledge, don't you think?
I think so. Cheese is very popular at the holidays, and to offer your guests something they may not have had before, but still, pretty sure they're going to enjoy.
But you don't have to do, you don't have to spend 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks doing research on this. There are some basic guidelines. So before we get to those, how did you get to be doing what you're doing? How did you become a cheese goddess?
Well, my first word was actually cheese.
You're kidding me.
I'm serious.
Oh, no. Now this is going to go south
I'm serious.
quick.
But,
you actually said the word cheese? That was it? No
yeah.
mama, dad,
My
cheese.
My first word was cheese. Yeah.
All right. Buy that.
They weren't sure if it was shoes or cheese, but now we're sure.
We're sure. It was
so,
could have been Tootsie Roll. We really, that's fine. Okay,
fine. Baby, I don't remember.
Yeah, right.
But after I was done with school, I went to school for normal things, and I traveled in Europe and really got to develop an appreciation for food and wine.
I'm glad next week we're doing our show from Dijon, France.
Oh, you have some good cheese.
So we have great cheese to look forward to.
Really
this is going to be perfect. So
yeah.
it was a European influence on you, right?
Well, that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Then I came back to the States, and while I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, I worked in restaurants.
Yeah.
And worked with great chefs and further developed that passion. And I ended up meeting a woman who's one of the pioneers in cheesemaking in the U.S., the owner of Cowgirl Creamery. So I ended up a few years later going to work for her and just part-time for fun, and it snowballed from there, and I ended up here. I never planned on doing this, but I basically followed what I was interested in.
And now you really you are a cheese expert. Is there a real name besides cheese
Well,
goddess?
my title is Maitre D'Fromage.
Oh, well, excuse me. We'll put that on a graphic on the video. What is it? Say it
It's
again.
Maitre Fromage. It means master of cheese.
Ooh,
Maitre, yeah, like maitre d' or maitre d' fromage. But technically, it should be maîtresse de fromage. That would be mistress of cheese, and that just sounds kind of weird.
That sounds weird.
Yeah. So we go with maitre d' fromage.
All right, that's good enough. All right, now, how about for you personally? What kind of cheese do you like? And does it have something to do with your personal taste? Much like wines and other things? I mean,
definitely, and I recommend for our guests, we have many cheeses to choose from, and I always try to find something that suits their tastes. My tastes tend to run towards goat cheese. I love any kind of goat cheese.
And goat cheese is supposed to be really good for you.
It is. It's low in fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
Is there different kinds of goat cheese, by the way?
There are. The main ways of dividing up cheeses are milk types, and it's one of the main ways. So you have cow's milk, sheep's milk, and goat's milk. Okay. But then within those, there are a million different ways to create the cheese. So you can age them differently, you can treat them with different molds and bacteria, and depending on where they come from, if the curds are cooked, I'm going to stop.
No, I'm fascinated by it. We'll run out of tape, but I don't mind. And that being said, are there certain groups of people that make better cheese than others around the world?
I don't think that's true, but
does the cheese community have a ruling on that?
The European cheeses are considered the standard. They don't really make cheese in Asia. They don't have the same kind of aged cheeses on other continents. But the U.S. cheese scene has been exploding over the past 10 years or so.
I
so
like cheese scene. I think we should start a website, cheesescene.com. Why not? It has been. Why is that?
I think that I think that as a culture, we're leaning more towards finding out where our food is coming from and being, responsible agriculturally and whatnot, and having handcrafted cheeses from a small farm where they really take care of the animals well is becoming more important to people. And I think we've been getting more into food and wine in general.
But here in America, we have that pesky pasteurization process here. So some people will say we can't get the best cheese in the world in this country. Is that true, though?
Well, that is true. There's a myth that people believe that we can't serve any raw milk cheeses here, which is not true.
Okay.
If a cheese is aged for 60 days or more, the FDA says it's fine to serve.
Then it's okay.
If it's aged 60 days or less, then it's not. And that's a really big debate in the cheese world. Most people who work in artisanal cheese think that raw milk cheeses that are young are fine.
And frankly, I would like to bring a camera to that cheese debate. I think that would be kind of fun. People arguing about cheese. I would love that. Would you participate? I would.
I would be on the raw milk side.
Are you going to tell us whether or not you've got any illegal cheese anywhere in this resort?
I can't say for sure. Either way.
I know it, and she's probably serious. All right, now we need to move ahead with our cheese selection for the holidays. You brought some items here. Most of us are going to go to the store, be it a large, a Pathmark or whatever it is, a giant supermarket, and we're going to be overwhelmed by just looking at the cheese But there's usually like 2 different cheese departments, right?
In a lot of grocery stores, there can be. There's the mass-produced cheeses, they're the ones vacuum sealed, wrapped in plastic.
Right.
And then there's the cheese counter.
Right.
Where somebody knows what they're doing a little bit and has some more handcrafted artisan cheeses.
How do we pick out these cheeses? What should we do?
If you are really interested in having great cheeses for the holidays for your guests, I recommend definitely going to a store where there's a cheese counter and a cheesemonger behind the counter.
We're learning so much. I love this.
Who can give you tastes of the cheeses and help you select.
Okay.
And if you can go in with one cheese that you like or one flavor you like, they can generally recommend. But I also have some recommendations that appeal to a broad range of people. If you're having guests who are really into food, then you can have some stinkier cheeses.
Got it.
But if you have a broad range of people, you want to have a couple cheeses that are generally well liked across the board.
And what would those 3? And you recommend maybe like 2 or 3, right? You don't want to
I
go
would say
overboard.
3.
3 is a good thing, right?
And it depends if you're having something really formal or something a little more casual. If you're having casual, you can have a cheese board with a couple accompaniments, 3 cheeses. If you go more than 6, it's going to get confusing.
Because your house always does, I'm sure, over 6. You've got a whole thing. All right, so 3 it is. What did you pick
So these 3 are very popular. And you
Okay.
always want to, when you're presenting the cheeses, you want to start with the mildest and then progress towards the strongest.
Good
That's
tip.
generally that way you don't overwhelm your palate.
Okay.
So these 3 cheeses I have here, the first one is one of the biggest hits I have on the cheese cart. It's called Piave Vecchio.
Okay.
It's from right next to the Piave River in Veneto, Italy. And Vecchio means age, so it's really hard cheese. It's similar to Parmigiano Reggiano, so it's
Okay.
going to be firm, crystalline, sharp, a little salty, a little fruity as well. And actually, if you smell it, it smells like pineapple.
It does smell
It
like
smells
pineapple.
there's no pineapple in it.
But it does smell
smells
like pineapple.
It tastes fruity without being sweet. And this is a cheese that 99% of people that I've served it to love. Plus, no one's ever heard of it, so you look like this cheese genius.
I
at
love
your
that.
events.
And
Yes.
how about, are you going to serve it with a cracker?
I prefer hard cheeses by themselves personally, but I
Okay.
think it's a personal preference as well.
Okay.
A plain baguette is always nice. A very plain, thin cracker. You don't want to get overboard into the flavored crackers, flavored breads, because it's going to compete with the cheeses.
Okay.
But if you'd like to eat it by itself with bread, that's a personal preference.
Okay.
The softer cheeses like this one, I prefer with a little plain baguette or crackers.
Okay.
This is also an Italian cheese. It's called Robiola Bocina. It is from the Piedmont region of Italy, where they like to make these little cheeses that are mixed milks. And this is a mixed milk, which means it's a blend of sheep and cow's milk.
Okay.
But if your guests like brie, they're going to like this a lot. It's really creamy, really soft. It's even milder than a traditional French brie, which gets a little mushroomy in flavor. This is very buttery, very tangy,
Nice.
milky, nice creamy texture.
And again, baguette.
Yeah,
simple
I like
cracker.
it with baguette. And you can also serve these with some fruit and nut accompaniments. A little, you can find in a lot of stores now, pressed fig and nut cake from Spain. Marcona almonds are these delicious fried little almonds.
Okay.
And membrillo, which is paste made from quince, is also classic Spanish accompaniment with cheese.
And finally, before we go to break,
This is our last cheese is Spanish. It's called Garrocha, and this is a great goat's milk cheese. A lot of people have an aversion to goat's milk, but because this is aged for a few months,
snobs.
I
They're
know.
snobs.
They
They're
think it's too
cheese
strong.
Snobs. It's annoying.
They think it's
Fine.
too strong, and this is not strong. It's very mild. People who don't like goat's milk often like this cheese.
And that being said, if we're going to serve this as an appetizer, as a crudités, or hang on, are we going to do wine with this? White wine, red wine? What do you pair?
With these particular cheeses, especially with the holiday, I recommend champagne or sparkling wine. It's festive.
Now we're talking. Again, you just impressed me. All right, now this is a real person, by the way. So I can confirm that. And she's here at Old Hickory, so you come and you can ask for her.
Yeah.
Just say cheese goddess, and she'll be right over with the cart. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
I'll just take this with me. We'll be right back here on Travel Show Live.